Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And again, it's a case that should have never been brought. It's an assault on America. And that's why I'm very proud to be here. This is an assault on our country. And it's a country that's failing. It's a country that's run by an incompetent man who's very much involved in this case. This is really an attack on a political opponent. That's all it is. So I'm very honored to be here. Thank you very much.
The legally absurd Banana Republic hush money trial against President Trump has officially begun, and the American people aren't buying it. We're going to see the latest on what's happening from the New York courtroom, and we're going to see why, in many ways, Trump has already triumphed over this ridiculous weaponized lawfare. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to help you stay sane in these insane times. So make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Also, before we dive in here, I did want to share a really special opportunity with you to begin building your legacy through real estate, just like President Trump has, as we together build a parallel economy. I've talked with so many of you who tell me that you really want to invest in real estate, but you just don't know how. So I wanted to tell you about my good friend and Turley Talk sponsor, Jeff Rogowski. Get this, Jeff owns over $250 million worth of real estate across America, and he's my go-to guy for real estate advice. Jeff is leading a movement of Christian patriots who are on a mission to do real estate God's way so that they can walk away from their corporate jobs and build a legacy for future generations. Jeff and his team have opened up some time to talk to you guys about your goals and about how they can potentially help make those goals a reality. It's a quick 15-minute intro call, and I really encourage you to take advantage of it. Go to freeintrocall.com now to book a call with Jeff and his team. A lot of people don't know this, but you don't actually need to have hundreds of thousands of dollars in a bank account or years of experience in order to start investing in real estate. There's a path for everyone. So click on that link below or go to freeintrocall.com to learn more about how Jeff and his team could potentially come alongside you and help you reach your goals through real estate. Slots are limited. I do expect them to fill quickly. So click on that link or go to freeintrocall.com and book an intro call today. It's a moment we never witnessed before in American history. A former president on criminal trial. President Trump arrived at the courthouse in Lower Manhattan for the beginning of his hush money trial, where Trump is alleged to have concealed a hush payment to Stormy Daniels just before filing as a candidate for the 2016 election. It is a legally absurd trial. The fact that this is even happening is itself an indictment at just how corrupt the powers that be in New York have become, and I'll show you why in a mere moment. But I want to first focus on why I think Trump, in many ways, has already triumphed in this New York trial. Take a look at these numbers. This is the latest from Quinnipiac. Just came out. It shows when asked, do you think the Manhattan District Attorney's case involving former President Trump is mainly motivated by politics or mainly motivated by the law? 62% of respondents claimed it's all about politics. That includes 70% of independents. And those numbers dovetail with the most recent Harvard-Harris poll that found that 55% of the population believes that all of the indictments against President Trump are politically motivated. 56% believe they are deliberate interference in the 2024 election by Joe Biden himself. And it's not hard to see why people would think that. Trafalgar polling has found that 79% of Americans, 8 in 10, believe we live in a two-tier justice system that protects the ruling establishment at the expense of average citizens. In other words, the ruling establishment is not fooling anyone here. There's a reason why Trump's poll numbers go up every time he's indicted. We saw it start with the whole Mar-a-Lago raid a couple of summers ago. That was during the primary season when he and DeSantis were basically even. All of a sudden, he surged way beyond DeSantis right after the raid. The Republican Party was so galvanized around Trump that there were even theories that the Democrats actually intended for that to happen. They wanted Trump as a nominee, and they thought, oh, raiding Mar-a-Lago, that would have the precise effect that, that it did. The problem is that the partisan support for Trump began spreading into the wider population. With every single subsequent indictment, Trump's popularity across the board only gained. His polls only went up, climaxing in the mugshot where even Democrats admitted that Trump politically benefited from it all. The point here to be made, and this is going to be very important because all you're going to hear throughout this week is how much America's turning their backs on Trump and how they think he's already guilty and that there's no way they would ever vote for him after a conviction. All this nonsense. That's the New York Times spin. That's CNN polling San Francisco and Chicago, okay? What you have to remember is that America is going through a very real and very serious legitimation crisis. It's been going on for some time now. It involves a radical split or a radical alienation that's growing between the people and the ruling class. And many scholars believe we are perhaps the single most divided country in the entire world right now. And we're seeing that manifest itself in polls like Quinnipiac that show the vast majority of the nation, 62%, don't buy what's happening in New York City. And to add insult to injury, what's happening in New York right now is the most brittle case of them all. And it's the one that has the most potential for blowback among the Democrats. And that's not just because of the obvious politicization, I guess that's how I should say, of the system and what's happening, but just by the nature of the case itself. Nearly 70% of people think that the Trump payments to Stormy Daniels was a personal expense. It was personal. Now, the irony here is we have Bill Clinton, the once leader of the Democrat Party, to thank for this. This is the consequence of Clinton. This is the result of the aftermath of the Bill Clinton-Monica Lewinsky debacle. When Clinton got rocked with the Monica Lewinsky affair, he said that this was a private affair. This had absolutely nothing to do with him doing his job and doing it well. And the public, for right or for wrong, agreed overwhelmingly. He successfully privatized the affair, Clinton that is, and no sex scandal since has been able to successfully damage a president. So the Democrats only have themselves to blame in all of this. The fact that 70% of the public thinks that this Stormy Daniels payment, there wasn't one, by the way, but to the extent that they believe there was, and then they believe it's just a private matter, this is the consequence of the Democrats effectively privatizing sex scandals. In terms of public opinion, the backlash against this case is potentially absolutely devastating for the Democrats. They most certainly may have overplayed their hands on this one. And that's certainly the case of my namesake, Jonathan Turley, professor of law at George Washington University. Here's what he thinks about all of this nonsense.
Yeah, everything about this case is, in my view, legally absurd. You know, this case is basically a state misdemeanor that had run out on the statute of limitations. And Bragg was forced, after he declined for a long time to bring this charge, to do so. His predecessor rejected it. And so they took a dead misdemeanor and bootstrapped it into effectively trying a federal crime. But the federal crime here under election law was rejected by the Department of Justice. They didn't feel that this should be charged. So you have this crazy case that's going to go forward, and it's going to turn on the testimony of people like Michael Cohen. And Michael Cohen just recently had a judge call him a serial perjurer. Wow. And he's going to appear as the center of this case.
Unbelievable.
It is insane. And it all testifies to how we're living in the midst of what futurist scholar Ziauddin Sadr calls post-normal times. This refers to the time in between the end of the old world paradigm, which is the modernist liberal globalist world, and the rise of a new world paradigm, which is what more and more scholars are calling civilizational populism, the rise of a new nationalist, populist, civilizationalist world. So in other words, we're in between the no longer and the not yet. And so what that means is that while the old orthodoxies are dying and the new ones are yet to be born, few things seem to make any sense. Nothing that we depended on in the past is going to be a reliable indicator for what's happening now. Everything, in effect, is basically falling apart. But, and this is very important, it's falling apart precisely because a new world, a new political, economic, and cultural paradigm is rising. But it is yet to take over and restore order. And so in many respects, I think this insane case with the legacy media cheerleading for it is a perfect example of how we're living in the midst of post-normal times. And the good news is that most people outside of the ruling class in deep blue cities see what's happening to President Trump as every bit as strange. Hey gang, I just wanted to give you a huge note of thanks to each and every one of you, the thousands of you that have recently clicked on the link below and joined our Insiders Club. As many of you know, we took a big hit from big tech. Our channel was completely and totally demonetized, but you, literally thousands of you, stepped in and you rescued me and this channel by bypassing big tech and joining our Insiders Club. You made it loud and clear to the Silicon Valley oligarchs that we're a movement, an army of like-minded patriots who refuse to be silenced by the international woke police. And so once again, I just want to take this moment to thank each and every one of you who have joined our Insiders Club for coming to our rescue. And for those of you who want to join in on the effort and take action, gang, just click on the link below and join our email list. That way we will never, ever, ever lose touch with each other, no matter what big tech does. So just click on that link below, join our email list, and become a part of an army of literally hundreds of thousands of patriots dedicated to taking our nation back, most importantly, together.